Hey guys, it's that time of the year again. The time to say goodbye to 2022 as it's about to end soon. What a long year has it been, and boy, I am ready to say goodbye to it. This year was a struggle for me personally, but to see many of you guys supporting to come back after a few months is what helped me keep this channel going, and for that, I'm always grateful for the amount of support you guys have gave me. You guys are probably annoyed by how I sound and just to cringe, and well, I thought about it, and I thought I'm gonna make a long ass video to talk to you guys. This channel has been through a lot this past year, but I am happy to continue talking about what I love, and for that, today is about exploring the top 10 manga I have read this year. Now here's the thing, I mostly forgot what I read this year, but there are individual series I do remember enjoying from this year alone, and not gonna lie, this was a tough challenge, as I read so many good things this year, and it was hard to eliminate any ones I really enjoyed, so I do want to mention these series for a quick moment. Lost Lad London, My Brain is Different, Casa de Louvre, Evangelion, The Tokyo Revengers ending, and of course Goodbye Eri, which I was so close to putting in my top 10, but I feel like it should sit out not only for being one shot, but also to know that there isn't really much to say about what's already haven't been said. It's a series that basically saved my channel and literally went beyond any statistics I had before and literally improved it 10 times. So it is an important one shot to me, and if you guys want to know what I thought about it, check out my video up going into detail, but for now, let's dive in. Starting with number 10. Island in the Puddle. It's a short series by Kei Sunbei, who is known as the creator of Erase. Now, I did not know at the time when I first saw it that it was by him, of course. I was at my local bookstore and it was just standing in front of me. The cover art looked really interesting and I bought it just to see what it's like. As soon as I got home, I read it, and it has one thing I insanely love. Island in the Puddle is about a kid named Minato taking care of his little sister while their mother is never there, and one day she came back and took them out for some fun. Minato and his sister went on a Ferris wheel, and then a huge storm appeared when thunder struck the car, which Minato got caught in. He passed out only to be woken up and found a corpse lying in front of him. He looked at himself in the reflection and saw somebody else, and he realized that was him that he was looking at. He woke up and he swapped bodies with a wanted criminal on the run. Now, there is only one thing worse than a criminal. Boom.
A child. No.
For all seriousness, what is happening right now is a criminal is stuck in Minato's body, and he's gonna use it as an advantage to hide away and use Minato's innocent life as a low profile until he's old enough to continue what he does. This series is a mystery body swapping type of story, and as someone who loves the body swapping manga, this speaks to me, and even though I haven't fully finished it yet, this is a nice series to look into, especially as it also has themes that made Erase so damn good as well. Only 5 volumes, and I just recommend it checking it out if you want a good mystery manga to binge. Number 9. My Broken Mariko. Now, this is a short manga with only a few chapters, but these just build it up something so sad and heartbreaking to read. It's a story that revolves around 2 girls, Tomoyo and Mariko. They have been friends for a very long time, and we saw off with Tomoyo reacting to Mariko's death on the news. Tomoyo stood by Mariko as a friend, and as Mariko had a struggling life of abuse, abandonment, and just every dark thing you could think of a father doing to his child. In the end, Tomoyo felt powerless, trapped in her own life issues that distanced herself from their friendship and prevented Tomoyo to help guide Mariko out of her darkness. Thinking about their time together and meeting Mariko's father again, Tomoyo is determined to do what she couldn't do before. So she stole Mariko's ashes and made a run for it to a spot that is perfect for her ashes. This is how Tomoyo will set Mariko free from a broken life. This was just a heartbreaking journey of seeing how much a friendship can mean to a person, and literally how it has kept them going even in the most horrible times. It shows that what makes a friendship like theirs so important, and what to do now that one of them is gone. The more we learn about Mariko, the more we understood what made her death so sad to consider, and those past moments were so painful to witness. And it was really scary when we have those moments where it will shift back to the past, and knowing the past makes the present frightening to look at. And it is hard to consider what a future would be now that one person who has been a part of your life doesn't exist anymore. Number 8. Watamote. I watched the anime a long time ago, and the anime is a bit special to me, even though it is a series that does scream cringe at first. It is a really enjoyable series to explore though. I just love Tomoko as a protagonist, and I just understood her as, of course, the shy antisocial weird type, and that enough is what made this enjoyable for me. It is also a series I did kind of left it in the back of my mind a while ago, and this of course happens to everybody. Your brain will remind you of that series, and when I remembered Watamote, I thought, you know what, I should read the manga. So I binged the manga in a few days, which is of course still ongoing. Honestly, even though I am one of those people who did enjoy the beginning, Watamote definitely got better after the anime, as we see Tomoko exploring having friendships, and it keeps slowly building up her character, going from a loner who only talks to one friend and brother to having multiple friends and their friends being friends with her, and that's where the comedy just got twice as better. It was so funny to see how normal people take a step into Tomoko's world, and to see their reaction to witnessing something they would never think they would have to see before. It's just something I could not stop laughing to. I also liked how having friends, it made Tomoko develop as a protagonist and improve her design as a character. She went from someone who would see a popular girl and think, I hate bitches like you, so ugly, shut the fuck up, to being able to express herself in a normal, but mostly weird manner. The new side characters as well were fun to get to know. I really enjoyed knowing more of Nemoto and Futaki as well. Her face doesn't say much, but she does bring a lot of fun to the series. This is a very fun slice of life to get to know about. It starts off somewhere between funny and cringe, but it uses both elements to create something very entertaining. I'm glad to have known this series and caught up to it. I am just so excited to see what's more. Also, they did a Bocchi the Rock reference in the recent chapter, and it literally had me dying for the rest of the week. Number 7. Gantz. Okay, I'm gonna be honest. Gantz is not a manga I would normally read. Like, literally, this is not the normal otaku-con manga. I have known Gantz for a long time, while only because I'm familiar with the mangaka's other work, Inuyashiki, which is still my favourite manga for him, and it is actually my favourite Mappa anime as well. Inuyashiki is a very strong series I love, and I feel it just doesn't get much appreciation for that. But I feel knowing how his mind works helped me prepare myself for what I'm about to read. Before I read Gantz, I watched Gantz Zero. No, not the actual Gantz anime. One episode I was like, yeah, no thank you. But Zero was a 3D cinematic experience to enjoy, as they took out one of the so-called best arcs of Gantz and portrayed it in such a beautiful way you would forget it's actually CGI. Knowing what exactly it explores did help me at the start to properly think about what exactly is Gantz and how it works. Now reading, I will be honest, the beginning was a tough one to read personally. It had themes I normally don't want to go into, and Gantz really did go into it really hard. The first 20 chapters were a bit of a slow start for me, but I think once I got past the introduction and slowly got used to how it works, it definitely got better. One of the things I did hate at the beginning was Kishimoto. She really was annoying, like really just something I really wanted to see get rid of. I'm not going to go into spoilers, but I do want to say I'm glad we moved on to better waifus. Speaking of waifus, one of my favorites was Yamazaki, who was part of the Osaka team in the Osaka arc, and of course the MILF was going to win. Always the MILF. My best character though was Kaze actually. At first, I saw him nothing as a Street Fighter character, but his development as a father figure really bring out the best moments of Gantz because of him. He's a very fun character, which Gantz needed. Gantz is a manga that blew my expectations away at the beginning, not only for his story, but having an art style that goes harder than Kazuya from Rent-A-Girlfriend in a Swimming Pool. But is it a perfect series? No. The last arc personally killed it for me. It felt awkward, especially the art style, and I feel like we just sometimes dodge some plot points. Like, at one point, we had vampires walking around and shit. I don't remember it doing anything to finish that plot point off. Some characters like Kishimoto and Sadaya were really great and dull characters, but the character selection was a lot better later on. Look, Gantz is not personally perfect, but it is a classic I really enjoyed. Why did I put this in my top 10? Oh yeah, that's right, the MILF. Number 6, Fire Punch. This is a manga that screams, please read me. I don't know if you know this, but I spied this small-time mangaka named Tatsuki Fujimoto. You know, the creator of Chainsaw Man? Anyone? 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 Huh, must be very hidden. Oh yeah, he did Goodbye Area as well. Anyway, Fire Punch is a very artsy story about revenge and exploring post-apocalyptic world with blessed children, which is where we start off with our protagonist, Agni. Agni is immortal, so him and his sister use their abilities to chop off body parts and help feed the villagers trapped in the Ice Witch's curse. Then the type of military came and obliterated the village, leaving Agni and his sister burning to death. But with his sister's final breath, she told Agni to live. With her death, he drove into a motivation and desire to kill the man behind this. So he used the ability to live even though the flames never stopped burning. He kept on living, breathing these flames while growing up to be a man. With this as a protagonist, we explore a crazy world with these types of characters existing. And of course, we can't have a Tatsuki Fujimoto story without his love for his movies, which created a brilliant character known as Togata. Togata is a very complex character. This is basically a version of Tatsuki Fujimoto put into his work. Togata is a character with an undying love for movies, and they use that to make the rest of the story and entertaining in a unique taste. Togata is basically using the environment to create a cinematic experience where Agni is the hero. This is a manga that will give you so many impressions and emotions throughout the series. And honestly, and I know this goes for everyone, and that is a sign for something. Like, really something, I don't even know how to exactly convey that twist and exactly go on from there. Of course, I read this online. I'm waiting to get all the physicals, but when I saw it, I just thought, this is a fan sub, right? Right? This isn't actually the real line to the actual manga. And I then looked into it, and it was actually real. I would literally just sit back and I said, huh. I don't even know what to say. Somehow, Tatsuki Fujimoto just made something so stupid and just feels fake and made it into an actual major plot point, and it was fucking insane how we just went on to the second half of the story after that. What was also insane was knowing the context behind certain memes, and it just got more unhinged than what it already was. I just can't stop laughing. Honestly, from all the proper works of Tatsuki Fujimoto I've seen, Fire Punch was probably like my least favourite. But honestly, I think what Fire Punch does better than Chainsaw Man is Tatsuki Fujimoto putting himself as an artist and human into his work. I feel like I got to know more about Tatsuki Fujimoto as a creator than reading all of Chainsaw Man. And not to discourse, but it's actually interesting to see a story being created like Fire Punch and how much we can look into Fujimoto and say, yes, this is his work. I enjoyed Fire Punch, and there is only one thing left to say.
Do you like Tatsuki Fujimoto?
Yeah, they're okay.
On to number 5, Call of the Night. Call of the Night was a story I got recommended a long while back, and I wanted to take a peek at it before the anime was about to air, and reading the first volume of Call of the Night was magical. Exploring a dark world full of glowing lights was atmospheric, and it was an environment you wanted to wander into. It's about a kid named Ko who quit school and decides to wander the outside world at night to see what life is like, because he's seen what the day world is like and he didn't feel like he wanted to be a part of that. He was just getting a drink until he stumbled upon a vampire named Nazuna. She invites Ko to spend their time in the night together. Then we explore a world of vampires and Ko trying to understand how it is different from the human life. And of course, him being a special case to the vampires as he spends time with one, but the others doesn't want to turn him into one. From where the anime started and finished, we explore a very chill but gloomy and mysterious slice of life with good moments from the characters and just Ko and Nazuna being a very fun duo. We later go on to a more serious mood as we go more into the backstories, what makes each character unique, and how not only you get friendly vampires, you also get the most evil ones. What I love the most is the art style. A very rough, twisted, gloomy, and also kind of a cinematic movie shot type of art style. And it works well blending to the art style you would normally find in a vampire story, and I just get lost into this deep moments where the art itself is telling a story. I'm not only being guided by the dialogue, characters or plot, I'm just exploring the world for the Nightwalkers. It's been a joy currently reading this weekly. I can't wait to see where it ends. Number 4, Orange. No, not the fruit, the manga Orange. Orange is a series I got recommended by a friend. Of course, it was the anime I watched first, which I really enjoyed. And then I wanted to explore the manga, which is lucky to have 2 complete conditions so easy to get. Orange is a very loving series, and it is one that can try to break you at the beginning. Orange is about a group of high school friends meet the new transfer student Keikaru, and we look into one of the group members, Naho, as the protagonist of the story. Before we meet Keikaru, Naho receives a letter by herself, and it seems to be written by Naho in the future. And as she sees certain events happening as specifically as the letter did, Naho seems to believe that this is actually from the future. The first thing the letter told Naho to do is not invite Keikaru to hang out, which it did happen with the group. But as she read the letter later, she realized that it was an actual mistake, as we learned that Keikaru himself, despite barely knowing him, faced a sad tragedy in the near future. The purpose of the letter by the future was to tell Naho to save Keikaru from his future self, and it showed how there was a connection between the two and how important it was for Naho to do it. So we go along to see how Naho can save Keikaru from something and try to guide him in the right path. We explore this series deeper and deeper, and witnessing the good moments, the slice of life moments, the wholesome moments, the sad moments, and the moments you do need a tissue. We get a glimpse of seeing how Naho trying to be aware of the situation, even though she knew herself it was going to be a struggle alone. But she then realizes how much the group together cares for Keikaru and all want to be there for him. It's honestly those moments you just want to think about the friends in your life who will be there for you when you need a cry for help. What really drives in this series for me is something like a personification of a guy's mental health, and that's where Keikaru is playing the role for in the series. Exploring Keikaru just shows how exactly complex and a struggle for a man's mental health can be, and how it's not easy to open up to people, and how you don't know who you can trust and not. He is that image you would see online of an anime character with a big smile and say, "I'm fine," when in reality, he is crying inside. Watching Keikaru is what drives this series into a corner, and you just want to see how you can find the right people who will be there for you. Now, before I continue this video, I just want to talk about the other characters as well, specifically Suwa, and that's because he is literally the biggest Chad you'll ever see in anime and manga. Because once you know what he decided to do and sacrifice something for him in the future, you would definitely be sorry for him. But just a high level of respect as well for the decision he chose. Even though he was probably the less noticeable character, I really liked Hakata as well. I don't know what makes him so interested. He's just some four-eyed, spiky-haired, lazy nerd who just reads weird manga. Wait a minute. Number 3, Solanin. Solanin is a manga by Inio Asano, and it is a very interesting take on life, music, passion, and growing up in the real world. This manga revolves around college graduates Meiko Inoue and her boyfriend Norio Tanada, who is crashing in her apartment and works at a low-paying freelance illustration job. So not only he's a four-eyed, spiky-haired, lazy attitude type of guy, he's also into illustration, and this is just fucking scary as a graphics and illustration student in university. This is foreshadowing my future, so stop it, please, just stop it. Anyway, this is about Meiko and her life issues as she is stuck in a job she hates. She is picking up after Noro and is just missing something in her life. Growing up is one of the most hardest things to experience, especially moving to a different environment and trying to make something out of it. She's bored with the idea of being in a grown-up life without really experiencing anything. So she decides that she quit her job and live on her savings for a while and find something she can follow in her life because it's what she wants to do. She enjoys that sense of freedom to be able to do stuff the way she wants it to and not to be stuck in the role of being a boring office lady. Well, of course, it will be a struggle with both her and her boyfriend will face something in the future. It's definitely a story about life, and no one other than Asano himself has a certain style and attitude to create something so unique, bizarre, and of course heartbreaking. Solanin is also a story about music and the passion of trying to be something big, something to tell the world and everyone around you who you are and what keeps you going in life. And that's where we see a band in this music manga. That's where we see a band in this series trying to find a way to hit big but witness the struggles of being nobodies. A story of people trying to find themselves again and seeing how others use their passions for music to be somebody. And seeing music manga is always interesting, as even though you can't hear a manga, you can feel it. The feeling of the voices singing, the crowd cheering, and just how powerful you can hear the guitar. Music manga is something that should be looked at more. Solanin is a journey I started with a history of reading the mangaka's other works, and ended while tilting back my chair, looking up and saying, damn. And that alone shows how much impact a manga could have. To also finish it like Orange, we also got another Chad in the story named Yamada, who is nicknamed as Rip. And he is one of the best, especially when we get to experience the sad moments. He knew the difference between what is right and what is right for him, and he always knew he went with the right thing, even if it builds up the pain. This manga is a gem to read, and I am glad the more I read Asano's work, the more I can move away from Goodnight Pimpin', and especially what makes him a great mangaka himself. Number 2. A Sign of Affection. Now, this is something I should let Gordon Ramsay have a thought about it.
It's actually quite nice. Very delicate fish, and it's nicely fried. Very light.
A Sign of Affection is a truly beautiful series I have read this year, and it is something that really got me into as being a romantic, wholesome, and special type of series. It was just that one day I was exploring any list, and I wanted to browse manga that explores disabilities, and this one really caught my eye, especially for it having a shoujo-esque art style and a very cute cover art. This was something that screamed for me to read it. And it was funny because you know that moment when you hear one thing you never heard of, and then all of a sudden it's everywhere. Seeing it everywhere gave me more motivation to read it. After being caught up with it, especially it being 31 chapters, all I can say is, it is so beautiful. It's really painful we're only in 31 chapters so far. A Sign of Affection is about a college student named Yuki. She is deaf, but she has never let it be an obstacle in her life and managed to let her live her life normally. She managed to have friends, go to college, and just casually be on social media, the normal life. One day she was in front of a foreigner asking her questions she can't understand, and that is when she met Itsumi. And at that moment, her view of the world expanded. You never know how magical it is to learn another language, but you would never imagine how unique knowing sign language is. And that is also when Itsumi's view of the world expanded. With that in mind, he took a deep interest into Yuki and wanted to be closer to her and understand her. This is an experience of learning to love someone with a disability, and reading this was so beautifully touched, as there is no side theme that just tries to blend with the main theme, there is no secret motives or anything to it, and just not being dramatic. This is a really wholesome series, and it has everything I love. Yuki is just the most adorable character I've ever seen before. She is everything I love in a character, and I just want more of Yuki. We need more Yuki. Sell me your highest stocks of Yuki. The world needs a character like Yuki. The story is very fun to get into, especially with the very comforting and joyful art style. We get to learn each character and understand who they are and how they show a sign of affection. We get to explore a character learning sign language for the first time. We get to see qualities of how a deaf person lives and the struggles to it, of course, such as speaking while wearing a mask, and that is trouble to someone who can only understand lip reading. This has already showed promise to what I wanted to explore in the first place. A story exploring life with a certain type of disability, and how we can express those moments that make it feel so real and so heartwarming to think this is moments people like Yuki can experience in her life. I am just so in love with this series and just so really eager to know what's going to happen next, especially with the recent chapter. Chapter 31 was very juicy. I recommend this to everyone. We need everyone to know the beauty of this series. If this series continues to go well, this might replace Ouran High School Host Club and be my favorite shoujo of all time. And for the last, number 1. Drumroll please. My number 1 manga of the year is Boys Abyss. Now, Boys Abyss is that one manga everyone talks about how dark and screwed up it is. And just as anyone else, I like to experience pain. I read the first few chapters one day, and then I read the entire series so far because of how deep it feels to read this. I have not been gripped on a series like this since Attack on Titan, just wanting to know everything and always be there for when it updates. And watch how each thread unravels into something so dark and twisted. This manga is such a ride to read. The manga focuses on a young boy named Reiji Kurose, a high school student who is always asked what is his future plans, and in reality, he doesn't know what he wants because he is positioned in this role decided by everyone else besides him. At home, he has to help out his single mother taking care of their grandmother who has dementia, and take care of his neat brother as well. His mother decided for him to make him work when he finishes school and to help support the family more. Unfortunately, he was told that he would be forced to work for his childhood friend's dad, and that transitions to him being a lackey for the childhood friend again. Reiji's destiny is to be trapped in this hometown for the rest of his life, and that just drives him into a deep depression, and he has to accept this role as there's nothing he can really do. One day he was just walking to a convenience store. He saw at the side there was this worker on a smoking break, and he realized that she is the idol Nagi Aoi, and he interacts with her by sharing a light in which symbolizes the connection they just made. Nagi is a mystery. Why is she here? Why did she take on a break on her idol career? What purpose is for someone like her to be here? There are so many questions that wanted to be asked, but in reality, it's just that moment when Reiji, for the first time in his life, someone asked what his struggles are. The one thing I appreciate about this series the most is we get to a glimpse as spread lots of dialogue thrown around the page and just speech bubbles screaming out Reiji's pain and how each one hits him deeper and deeper. We get lost into a reality as we are experiencing a cry for help. This is where Nagi comes in and explains that what can you do when you are trapped into a role and you can't escape it? You can end it yourself. And invites him to a lover's suicide, which is the town's site shown in a book written by an author. We explore this hell trying to hope Reiji can find a way to get out of it without losing his life. Just each moment when we try to get a positive, we will instantly be blown with the heavy negatives. This was such a powerful read, and just each chapter hits more and more. This is something from a perspective of someone who likes learning about mental health and psychology. And this is a series to portray a cry for help and trying to guide your life with your choices. This is an amazing manga I would never want to forget, and if you have a strong stomach, I urge you guys to please read this, as this could be something very special in the future. Thank you guys so much for watching this video with me, and thank you all for the support as well. We have reached over 200 subscribers recently, and honestly, it really melts my heart. I am grateful to each and every one of you who has supported me and my poorly edited videos. Man, you guys are the best. Thank you all from the bottom of my heart. If you ever enjoyed this video, please leave a like and comment about the mangas you've read this year. And for that, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's, thank you, and sayonara.